we talked about Kennedy on the show, like you with us?
Never.
I know the show's talked about Kennedy, like everybody has, but have we ever had the Kennedy talk with you?
I think it got passively mentioned on the episode that Woody wasn't here for.
I've
like Harley and everyone was on.
Yeah. I remember watching.
I don't think we talked much though. I'd like to. I don't know too much about it.
Did Oliver Stone make the movie, the JFK movie? Is that who made it?
Yes, yeah.
I remember watching
Remember
that.
Your King. Yeah, that's the Oliver Stone movie.
I remember that. Anyone who's never seen JFK, you should watch it. It's a tremendous film, great cast. Got our boy Kevin Spacey in there, and I remember at the end of it, there's something.
His boys, Kevin Spacey.
It's got your boy, part of the gang, so to speak. Yeah. We go way back.
Yeah. Kyle is president of the Kevin Spacey Stan Club.
I like when our boys are like Kevin Spacey, and I don't know who's the fucking guy who didn't kill himself. Epstein.
Oh, Epstein.
Dude, he is not our boy. I don't know.
He was just a fun-loving playboy who liked to have a good time.
Yeah.
Is what I've heard. Is what I've heard. I mean, if that wasn't it, then surely all that information with Ghislaine's list, they would have looked into it, right?
Yeah, that's what the guard at the penitentiary told me. I don't know what else is going on.
That's what the guy who wasn't in prison there, the former cop with his pit bulls and his 22-inch arms, that's what he told you before the cameras went out.
With his magical camera racing capabilities.
At the end of JFK, though, there's a part where, I don't know, there's some text on the screen maybe, and they're like, they give a date in roughly 2020 when they're going to open these files and they'll be available for the public. And then that came, right? You're probably like, oh yeah, where's this file? They like pushed it forward again. They pushed it forward again. They're like, nah, we changed our mind.
No shit.
Kick the can down the road. I remember my dad looked at me. My dad, I guess, didn't think he'd live to 2020 at the time. He was like, make sure that you look into that. Like back then, I remember it so well. Like 30 years ago. Like, make sure you look into that.
I want Wendigoon to get
even
pills
even more. And so the JFK files are a whole thing. There's like hundreds of pages of declassified CIA info that you mentioned. My last video about the vampire attacks, part of it actually came from the JFK files. So it's like this book of information, and then what they did is they took stuff like JFK, stuff relating to MLK, Nazi groups in South America, and they released like a few pages and then redacted the rest. And it's like, that'll be another 10, 20 years. Like, all right, so they acknowledge it exists, but they're like, these 40 pages? No. What, 24? When we're all dead, that's when you can look at it.
And then the people alive then will be like, nah. Let's push that. Let's kick that can a little further down the road. I haven't. And
then Kyle tells his son, like, you look out for that whenever that comes around.
Well, I don't know if it's true, but it's right here. Zach wrote it. White House delays the release of secret JFK assassination records, citing COVID-19.
Damn,
that sounds like them.
That's dangerous.
That
you can't be reading that on your phone.
Hey, that's what killed JFK.
Like. Yeah. I've heard I've heard the JFK movie is good and entertaining, but like, I don't even know what their claim is for who did it in the JFK movie, like CIA or something, I guess, based on the redacted thing. But we know for sure that that's not the full story in that movie.
Correct.
Like,
yeah.
If the people out there were powerful enough to kill JFK, they're powerful enough to kill someone trying to tell the story of how JFK was killed, Like they wouldn't allow a movie like that to come out if it was really spilling like state secret beans,
There's a lot of weird stuff with the Cubans and with Oswald. I've never thought the mob stuff was particularly compelling, but the Cuban stuff, the all the CIA stuff with Oswald, and then there's that one guy who's all the Ruby stuff is really weird.
Jack Ruby.
Yeah,
he was in the mob or mob connected, right?
Yeah, he did. He was more of like an enforcer for random stuff, like mob connection, yes, but he wasn't in the mob. He wasn't like a big member or anything.
Yeah, the whole thing's wild. And then that shot that he supposedly made, I don't know.
And then they killed his brother
after firing 3 shots out of a bolt action in like 2 seconds. Like that guy had sleight of hand on up there.
What's hard to do, and like if you've never tried to do it in real, if you've only played video games with scoped guns, like shooting the gun and then chambering a new round and then putting it back up to your ear and getting that sight picture and then kind of getting settled into it, like that. It seems quick, but it's precious seconds that you need if you're trying to shoot a guy driving away from you in a fucking Lincoln or whatever.
Is the claim three? They say it was 3 bolt action shots.
Yes, 3 bolt action shots out of a 6.5 Carcano rifle. As he was driving away, fired in the time span of a little over 3 seconds, if I remember correctly. So the first shot was a miss. It skipped off the pavement and hit a guy who was walking down the street. The second shot is the magic bullet. That's the one that supposedly, hold up, let me think, I'm JFK. It hit him in the neck, went forward into his arm, down into his thigh, out of the front of his knee, into the seat in front of him, and hit the governor in the back, and was perfectly intact. And then the third, that's why when you watch the Zapruder film, he's holding his neck, because he had just been shot in the neck. So he's leaned over holding his neck, and then the third shot was the one through the head. So yeah, 3 shots, like super fast from a bookstore window, several hundred feet back. Just a lot of variables happening at once.
So do you not think that Lee Harvey, like, you think he was maybe framed, or where does he kind of fit into the mix?
So yes, yeah, there's the magic bullet. So yeah, into the back, then the neck, then the arm, then the leg. And then surprisingly was all in one piece. If in court they call it the magic bullet, yeah, they tend to not do that so much.
Yeah, bullets do weird stuff. I don't know about all that shit. And then it being pristine at the end is the real weird thing, because they get all warped up and beat up after hitting bones and stuff. And I don't know.
Looks like there were like 6 points of contact in that graphic. Like that would ball up and fuck a bullet up, right?
If it's like Full Metal Jacket, it stays pointy. Like
really?
Yeah, it's not going to mushroom back. It's going to stay, and that is Full Metal Jacket. It's going to stay together, but it's going to look worse than that. That would be a real pristine bullet if you found that like out on the sand at a firing range, downrange. If you go downrange at like Knob Creek in Kentucky, millions of rounds have been fired that way. And so if you just go down there, start like kicking dirt, you could just piles of the lead, the projectiles, just every kind you can imagine. Like, and you can see that not too many are pristine
unless it what?
I got him.
No, I got him. You guys were so still, I couldn't tell if all of you froze. I'm like, maybe it's me.
No,
you're good. You're good now. You're good.
Yeah,
now,
you said unless they wouldn't be, the bullets would not be pristine unless.
Unless you hit sand or something, and it was like we would shoot bullets into that rubber stuff they use for landscaping. You can fill a trash can up with that and use that as a bullet stop. You're doing like ammo tests and stuff. You shoot right in, it'll catch the bullet. The bullet's in pretty pristine condition because it's going through soft rubber. But when you hit dirt and rocks and shit, the bullets get mangled. I don't know. Whenever I've hit animals and recovered them, they were mangled too. I don't know about all that. So they call it a magic bullet for a reason. They conspired to kill that guy.
Yeah. What was the Lee Harvey?
Did.
Like what?
Yeah. I'm not positive about this one because I haven't dove into the research regarding him specifically. Whenever I was doing my MLK assassination video, I saw this and quickly followed it and I was like, all right, whenever I remake a full bore JFK video, I will come back to this. But Lee Harvey Oswald was an employee at the bookstore. And according to official records, he was a communist sympathizer, didn't like JFK. It was during the Cold War, so they just called him a commie because that was the idea. So he he supposedly just decided that he was going to kill the president whenever he heard that the president was going along that area. So I'm sorry, I'm going brain dead right now. Does something need to be said?
No. You're...
Oh, sorry. I heard the mic come on, and I was like, oh, what's going on?
It's never happened before.
Yeah, we heard you typing
audio, and we heard him typing, and
that's why I froze up. I'm like, is this an emergency announcent?
I don't know.
Sorry about that. I thought it was just going to stop. No big deal.
You're good.
Nukes at last.
Yeah, sorry.
They're getting first they got Kyle, now they got Zach. Anyway,
all of us.
So to stay on the train of thought, supposedly Lee Harvey Oswald just hated the president and the United States, wanted to kill him. According to a report, this was the quick thing I saw, I haven't fully looked into. The initial police report is that because the police ran into the building, that whenever they ran into the building, Lee Harvey Oswald was downstairs working, according to again, this one report that I haven't validated, that he was just downstairs working there, sweeping the floor or whatever. And then one of the police officers was murdered. Supposedly the first guy who ran into Oswald got shot. And then Oswald escaped out of the bookstore and to an old movie theater, if I remember correctly. And then the police followed them there and arrested him. But that initial police report says that when they got in, Oswald was just there. He wasn't upstairs shooting another cop with a gun. And then that report disappeared from the official record later. So the theory is that Oswald was set up to be the fall guy or the patsy. And then later they just took that record out so that it would better fit the narrative that Oswald was the shooter. On top of that, whenever Oswald was being held by the police, he kept saying, like, I have no idea what's going on. And then whenever they explained like the shooting and everything, he said, oh, so I'm the patsy. I'm the fall guy. That's how this is going to work. And then he gets shot by Jack Ruby. So a lot of people are dubious over the Oswald connection.
There's a think Jack Ruby may have killed him to cover up anything he would have said?
Yeah. So that's the theory. So Jack Ruby was a mob enforcer. He had carried out like jobs for. That's why I said he wasn't specifically in the mob. He was more like a contractor. He supposedly just loved the president so much that he decided to shoot the guy as he was being transferred to interrogation out of the kindness of his own heart. So he gets gunned down, and then whenever they arrest him, he's like, oh, I just like the president. And it turns out he had cancer, and he died 4 months later. It was 4 months or 4 years soon after. And if I remember correctly, his family, he had family debt and like hospital bills from his cancer that disappeared after he shot Oswald. So,
That's
and that was part of a lot of people throw that towards the mob theory. They're like, oh, maybe the mob hired him to do it to pay off his debt. It's like, yeah, the CIA, that's the mob you're looking for. They have a name and everything.
And they can
so that's like the Oswald theory and like the Ruby theory and all that. Of course, it goes into more of like there being a second shooter, the whole grassy knoll thing and all that. So
what is the grassy knoll thing? I've always heard that like as a joke from Dale Gribble in King of the Hill, and I never looked like, what is that theory?
So Kennedy is in the back. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
I just said pocket sand quietly.
Oh,
pocket sand.
my apologies. So Kennedy's in the Lincoln. He's going down the street, and Lee Harvey Oswald is in a bookstore behind him, like to his like back right. There is a grassy knoll, as it's been dubbed, which is a small hill underneath a tree by a fence to like his forward right, both on the right side of the vehicle, but the grassy knoll's in front of him. The only footage that we still have is of the shooting is the Zapruder film. That is the film. So there's a picture of the grassy knoll, like up towards where the trees are back there, like the shadowy area. I don't think that wall's still there today, if I remember correctly, but like it's like a little field essentially. So anyway, the only footage that we have is of the Zapruder film. There was a cameraman standing on the same side of the vehicle of the camera shot we just saw, who was filming the whole thing. So he on the opposite side, he would have been over near the grassy knoll filming. So he's filming the whole thing, and he films from that angle as the shots ring out and as Kennedy gets killed. In the footage on the Zapruder film, you can see that there is someone else across the street who is also filming on a camera. So that should be the solution, right? Because if our cameraman, the Zapruder cameraman's back here, and the shooter's over to his right, then the person on the other side of the street should have an angle of that. And supposedly, well, not supposedly, this is a fact, they recovered that footage and brought it into court during the trial that like the movie JFK is about and all that. So, see how Zapruder position is like next to the grassy knoll dude? Over there where the mouse is on the right side of the road is where this mystery cameraman was. So anyway, that footage makes its way into court. And it was not shown publicly. It was shown to a private jury. The jury said that the evidence in the footage was compelling. And the next day, whenever they moved to make it public record, they misplaced the tape. And to this day, it's never been recovered. They just the biggest trial ever. They're like, oh, we misfiled it. I guess it's just not here anymore. But according to the luck, and according to
I hope some CIA guy didn't lose his job over that. Oh my God! Can you imagine?
He worked hard to file that paperwork, man. According to the people who did see it, they're at the grassy knoll, which is again the position in the diagram. Whenever Kennedy's head explodes and he actually gets shot, there is a large puff of smoke from the grassy knoll. And that also lines up because Kennedy was in the Lincoln leaned down like this. And whenever he got shot, supposedly from up here, his head jerked backwards and his whole body flew out the back. Which, yeah, your muscles can do weird stuff when you get shot. But it's much more likely if he was shot from the front that his head would shoot backwards like that, rather than getting shot in the back of the head and, having that reaction.
Yeah.
So the idea is that the shooter was in front of him at the grassy knoll rather than behind him at the bookstore. There's also the three bullets.
I'm in.
The 3 bullets is also widely contested. For example, supposedly the first shot's the one that skipped across the pavement and hit the guy watching the parade go by, right? Well, according to that guy's account, he heard a gunshot and stopped and then looked and then got struck in the leg. So supposedly, again, according to the theory, the grassy knoll guy fired first, and then whoever's in the book, because there was someone in the bookstore, whoever was in the bookstore, that shot is the one that hit him. Because there's no way this guy heard a gunshot and was like, I wonder what that could be. And then that gave enough time for the bullet to skip and hit him.
No.
That's not how speed works.
That's not how speed works, yeah.
It would have to be some wacky shit, but it's possible. That's the fun thing. Like that bullet would have been like ding dong ding, and he hears bang. The bullet's still going bing bang ding. Like
it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon jumping all around the square. Yeah. And perfectly intact.
Yeah, I never knew how much bullets bust until I started shooting a lot of tracers, specifically like not just bang bang bang, but when you've got like a belted machine gun shooting hundreds of tracers at like that area. And you're hitting like trees and stumps and rocks and hard pieces of dirt and soft pieces of dirt and water. Well, let's start making sharp turns that you don't think are like physically possible. They just make a right turn and they're already going 3,000 feet per second and they just hang a left.
I've had that same experience. I shot a saw. People know this is a belt-fed machine gun. It was on the ground with a bipod and we were shooting it at a car. And after the bullets hit the car, in my mind, they vanish, turn to powder, stop,
disappear.
Yeah.
See, the CIA thinks that way too, actually.
Yeah. But in reality, because they're tracers, you can really see where they're going, and they're just zinging all over the place. Sometimes back at you. They do crazy things. And Kyle's right. Like that story they tell is improbable, but not impossible. So.
What's crazy is it's like, okay, you're expecting me to believe that some wonky shit happened the day a president died. I'm not going to buy that. Look, a president already died today, so I'm going to just assume everything else went like it normally does in our plane of existence and assume y'all had a guy hiding over there, one up there, probably a third we don't know about who just didn't have a clean shot. Like,
right.
I think they conspired to kill that guy, and there's just so many reasons. He was a fly in the pudding, or whatever they say. In the ointment, is it?
Fly in the ointment. Yep.
That's what Biden was talking about. Yeah.
I think I'm a fly. And the ointment, life tries to get rid of me, but I'm stuck like a fly. And the ointment, life.
There was a lot of reasons they would have wanted him dead. They also did suspicious stuff that day. Like every time the president goes somewhere, they put Secret Service everywhere. And the day of the Dallas drive, the Secret Service got together and they were like, hey, there's something like, I think the number was 1,200 windows he's going to be driving by. That's too many to cover. Let's just no security today.
I did not know about that.
He's too exposed. No one watch him.
It's just a wasted effort. Let's hope. Like,
Like
that
can make
he's
sense
in God's
if they were-
hands now.
yeah.
Why don't they just say, let's not do
CIA's
it?
capable hands.
Let's put the fucking top up. Whose idea was the top down? I always think back to that scene in The Office when Michael is driving and Dwight's in the passenger seat of his convertible PT Cruiser, and Dwight thinks it's so cool to let the top down, but it's the middle of winter. And he's like, and he's already unbuckled them, and they're coming down, and there's no choice anymore. I just imagine that shitty governor of Texas wanted his picture taken with the president. He was like, no, come on, and he's like twisting how
Put the top down.
put the top down, and the wife is like, fuck, this guy's an asshole. He's like,
Is
we'll
that
be this.
the view from the grassy knoll?
Oh.
This would have been where the shooter was. Yeah.
Wait, there could be clues on the fence.
All right. That's...
Look, he wrote his name right there.
Right there. His name's Roy Sanchez.
That's so
Roy
close.
Sanchez, you son of a gun.
The
Well,
trees
Louis
know. I like
Monroe.
that. The trees know. That's pretty good. That goes
Yeah,
hard.
that's good.
The trees know that is good.
That's a lot closer than I thought it was. The way that looked, like, I don't know where he was when he got shot in perspective to like where that camera was just sitting. But if you were trying to shoot a guy in that Suburban or whatever down there, that wouldn't be a challenge at all.
It
That'd
does.
be like
I thought that same
child's
thing,
play.
but also I don't know. You know how cameras work. I feel like I can't take it at face value.
I was just kind of looking at the sidewalk and the steps and kind of like doing
It's
a little.
I
not
feel
a
like
long
I could
shot
grab
at all. It's like 80,
Oh.
70, 80 feet maybe. If I remember
Okay,
right.
yeah, okay, yeah.
I
okay.
have a
70,
lens
80
that would
feet.
make that look
He's
like a
super
hard
dead.
shot and an easy
He's
shot.
super dead at 70 or 80 feet.
Super dead. Especially if you miss and you have a guy to cover your ass.
Yeah, you've got like what's funny is if that's true and they each fired like 3 shots, right? They were horrific. For like a couple seconds, it was like the Wild West, just bam, 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 bam. He's
Yeah.
missing all the shots. They're skipping over the car.
Yeah.
Too bad he couldn't like Mr. Magoo his way out of that. Like he reaches down to tie his shoes at the right time. Gets up to shake something. It's like the tires are popping behind him as he's like sprinting through the street. Yeah.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah, but that's not the world we live in.
Hey,
And then they killed Bobby. And then they killed Bobby. What was that guy's name was like Sirhan, right? Something like
Bobby
that.
Kennedy?
Yeah, the guy who showed up and shot him in a kitchen that the CIA, the Secret Service, just let him into, and then he gets shot, and then they burn the evidence.
They
I
have
didn't
to. They
know
did it.
most of this.
Yeah, so
It's really weird. I think we might be living. I think that America may have died sometime around that period in history, and we're just like the leftovers.
We're like
That-
riding the corpse as long as it'll go.
Which
Big
one
bad
showed his
tub.
dick to everybody? Was it?
LBJ.
Yeah, I knew it was Johnson. I just didn't want to call it Johnson. But
Johnson, of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
apparently he showed his dick to everyone. He was very proud of it. Apparently it was ginormous. He had his tailor like build special pants for his giant dick.
For his big dick.
Yeah.
Dude,
Wow.
It's awesome. That's
I
a
heard
good
the Saturn V rocket was designed after his cock. Actually, NASA.
Now we know he's circumcised.
We are going to put a man on the moon on LBJ's dick and do those other things. Not because his dick is soft, but because it's hard.
That would be another good conspiracy to do is the Kennedy shit. Like the
Oh,
that's-
isn't it a little obvious?
That's been done to death.
Yeah.
it's done to death.
I
It
think
seemed-
the bottom line after everything I've heard is, yeah, there's shenanigans in play, but who knows?
Yeah,
I think something different than the official story.
Jack Ruby killing him.
Yeah,
Jack-
it just was
Jack,
crazy.
What was his actual Jack Rubenstein fucking murdering that
Yeah.
guy? What the fuck was
Just,
up with that?
It's like, here we are parading the murder of the president through a parking garage.
That, you
With
know,
anybody able to just walk the fuck in? Isn't it amazing how that used to be?
yes, but I feel like now with Epstein, same thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
that is
guy just
true.
got
If,
killed. Like this guy had the keys to the kingdom. He was the center of a big conspiracy, and then he died
Yep.
where he shouldn't have. And
Godfather 2, who is it? Michael Corleone said that if history's proven anything, it's that you can kill anybody.
Yep.
And it's so fucking true. It's been proven. That's why I said that. If we got a month left to the election and all this shit fails, someone's at least going to take a shot at the fucking guy.
what's
I think as long as people are distracted by shit that is absolute bullshit, they won't report it as bullshit. So people just keep going at it. It gets that many people out of the way of the real shit that's going on. So you can even make the conspiracy that they don't want people poking around the real shit. So let them bite on this Wayfair thing for a while. Fuck it. It might keep them out of the COVID shit. So who the fuck knows?
I definitely think you're right there in that a lot of the conspiracy community, from what I've found out from just doing independent looking into it, plus what we do here where we joke around about them, real conspiracies fucking exist. Like if you don't think that groups of powerful people conspire together in order to achieve a given goal, you're a fucking retard and there's no saving you. Like obviously they do. We see that all the time that's why they had to fix price fixing with companies because of shit like that, because they conspire. And so obviously this shit happens. It's just a matter of which ones are actually slipping through the goalie and that are real, and which ones are the nonsense that we're supposed to latch onto.
So you think there's intentional red herrings? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. It seems like something. Why wouldn't you do that?
Out there in order to discredit any kind of conspiracy, because you even know Woody, Kyle, Dick, Ant, like you all know, when something is labeled a conspiracy theory, you have an inherent bit of distrust, right?
Oh yeah,
for sure.
You're like, come on.
Yeah, that's what powerful people would prefer, right? To muddy the waters with a bunch of nonsense so that you can't actually discern what's actually happening. Like that's
yeah. I mean, that was the whole genesis of us doing the like conspiracy theories on here. It was like finding some that we legitimately think have some truth to them, while at the same time being kind of silly, But and before we did it, we like listed all those conspiracies that turned out to not be theories anymore, but just conspiracies. Like drop the theory off the end, stuff like the Gulf of Tonkin. And that whole thing where they were stealing bodies to irradiate them during the Manhattan Project, and that thing where they were spraying the gas on the people in California. Like there's been lots of human experiment. The Tuskegee experiment where they were infecting all those black airmen with like syphilis or something.
I remember that one. Well, I wasn't there, but I mean, I've heard of it.
I think I was there.
Yes, I remember that.
No, this is literally a thing. Army scientists secretly sprayed all of St. Louis in the 50s with a bunch of shit. Just
that explains a lot.
Yes. Hammer murders on the rise in 1950s.
Side effects include enormous heads.
They just got a kid in steroids.
They hadn't won a hockey championship for 70 years.
Well, they did that before the Blues were a team in the 50s.
Yes. Taylor, if I've learned anything about reparations, is that you don't have to be there for it to impact you. It has long-lasting effects.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Good. Want some
that should have been your conspiracy theory. I'd have loved to hear a well-to-do middle-aged white man explain why that's all nonsense.
Middle-aged, I'm 29. No. This actually is. I couldn't do this one because it's not an experiment. The Army came clean and admitted they did it.
This is the Tuscany. I can't pronounce it.
No, this isn't the Tuskegee.
This is the St. Louis experiments.
They sprayed a lot of St. Louis with chemicals to see what would happen.
The military did a lot of fucking pretty heinous shit.
I wonder if they still are.
Maybe. I think I live farther enough away that I won't be impacted. Hopefully,
I mean, just what kind of shit is the military doing now? Are they running testing on soldiers? Are they running testing on populations?
Like, I want to know what fucking China is up to right now in secret. Like, I want to know what kind of human fucking are they making Supermen? Like for real? Like, what if they're making Supermen right now?
When I was a kid, that's what they said about Russia, that they were making super soldiers and genetically engineering people for it.
Yeah.
I don't buy it anymore.
What about their
Drago? Like Drago from Rocky IV.
Exactly. They're going full Rocky IV on us.
Yeah.
This is bad though. That's the problem. Like, I wish there was a third option that didn't have brain worms.
Dude,
it came out. For those who don't know, Robert F. fucking Kennedy. I hope that's not a real tweet, but it appears to be. He said that he found out that a brain had gotten into his worm. A brain?
A worm
had gotten into his fucking brain. eaten some of his brain tissue and then died in his skull. And they just found out. And here's this tweet that says, I offer to eat 5 more brain worms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate.
Have you ever seen the meme of the parasite coming out of the guy's ass and like typing the comment on the computer?
Yeah.
This is a brain worm coming out of his ear and typing this while he's laying there.
Shit.
I'll eat 5 more brain worms. I need company. I'm lonely.
Though they didn't just find about the worm. It happened in 2010. And I think it just came to light because someone found it in a book he wrote. Let me see if I have that part right.
I feel confident with the result, even with a 6-worm handicap.
That's a sick line. I'll give him that. And I saw Fox News making fun of him and his brain worm. And I'm like, this is a good strategy, right? Like if you're in the bag for Trump, then you blast him to your audience. And then the liberals would want to do the same thing.
Yeah. I wonder if the steroids made the worms like bigger and more hungry. Because that dude is jacked. Have you seen him without his shirt, Taylor?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. But like when he was just coming onto the scene, like he was lifting weights, and it wasn't like crazy amount of weight, but for his age, it's like that's respect.
Can you show us jacked RFK Jr.?
Yeah, he's legit jacked.
Yeah, he's fit. Good for him.
He's he's like elite for his age.
Yeah.
For
like
sure.
for what is he, 70?
I don't know when this picture was taken. Like that looks really good. But
look at it. I mean, the shirts.
Was
look at the hat. It's recently during his campaign. Kennedy 2024 on Colt. Is that Colby? Who is that?
Yeah, Jesus Christ, he looks good.
He's 70 years old.
Yeah, dude's pretty yoked.
He's got the T levels of an 18-year-old somehow.
Yeah. Look at those traps.
He's got a worm stealing all the bad bits of his diet.
With his traps. He looks like a man with either a nipple fetish or a lot of androgens.
Dude, I'd be ripped if I had a worm eating my fat.
Working out in jeans.
Well, it was eating his brain matter, though, Woody.
I'd forget things.
Yeah. The brain does burn a lot of calories.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, this would make him fatter. It makes his accomplishments all the more impressive.
I'm sold.
Your brain burns a lot of calories every day.
He's like a big gun grabber, so I don't like that.
Oh.
I don't like that either.
I don't like that. I heard Schwarzenegger talk about him, and I wish I could repeat it as eloquently as he did. Wait, what? I think I missed the thing. Did I say Schwarzenegger wrong?
Almost. The wax was beginning to drip off your wings.
Schwarzenegger. I don't know. That's how I've always said it.
Call him Sporty.
I've heard Arnold talk about JFK and some of his like more out there conspiracy theories. And he's like, look, I will never give this guy a hard time about these conspiracy theories. Somebody killed his uncle and somebody killed his dad and, the CIA and this and that. And I can't lay it out as well as he did, but it's like, given his lived experience, you'd be on alert for fucking monsters in your closet too. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense actually.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's fair.
That's where he's coming from. We're all a product of our environment.
Yeah,
that's fucking fair. You forget that was his dad. Holy shit! Yeah.
That's
Damn, I had to consider that. I knew it was his uncle.
Yeah.
Well, I knew JFK was his uncle, but I didn't. Wait, if JFK is dad or his uncle?
JFK is his uncle. His dad is RFK.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And he was murdered while running for president, right?
Oh, I remember. I've seen the video.
Yeah,
we all have. I'm sure. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yep. So if that's where you're coming from, and then I don't know if it's shady, but like how many people in his family died in plane crashes?
Oh,
a statistically unlikely amount.
John Jr., who would have been his cousin, his first cousin, died off the coast of New York in a plane crash, maybe off Martha's Vineyard.
Is RFK the one that killed that prostitute by like putting her in the trunk of a car or something?
No, they were driving.
You're thinking of?
I don't think she was in the trunk. I think she was in the passenger seat. Was the story, and they crashed off a bridge into the water, and she died. Now, if you want to see a great movie that's kind of taking a poke at that, it's Brian De Palma's Blowout with John Travolta. It's very good. I saw Quentin Tarantino speaking on a podcast recently, and he said it was one of his favorite movies of all time. It's also on, I think it's on Plex. 2 words, Blowout, 1971, John Travolta. So he's young, sexy, slick John Travolta.
Yeah.
He's basically like a sound engineer, and he's out in the wilderness collecting audio that he sells to movie companies. And a conspiracy goes down where a car is forced off a bridge and a politician is taken out of a presidential race, and he has the audio to go with like street video, and so he's got the real story, and he can't get the police to bite. And then John Lithgow, the fucking Third Rock from the Sun guy, big tall, he's the guy the CIA or whoever they are sends.
Does he have a full head of hair?
He's got a good bit. He's terrifying because he's like 6'4", 6'5", and he's like deadpan evil, fucking so methodical. And his plan is he's got to kill this woman. And so to make it not appear that it's a conspiracy, when she disappears, the woman who was in the car, I think, or somebody else. Yeah, I think it's the woman who was in the car with the politician that was killed. He needs to kill her, but don't make it look like it's part of some big conspiracy.
Oh, the politician's killed in this story.
Yeah. And so he starts going and committing sex murders on women all in the New York area or wherever they are. He's killing like 4 or 5 women just so that he can kill this one woman and have it look like it's part of that. And John Travolta's kind of mixed up in this conspiracy, and they're going back and forth. I'm pretty sure it's taking a poke at the Kennedy thing with the bridge. Because his girl drowned, right?
Yeah, if I have the story right, and I'm not that confident, he was having an affair. This woman was in the front seat. He was drinking and driving. They crashed into a lake somehow, Chippewa or something close to that. And he saved himself while leaving her to drown in the car. He claimed he did everything he could to save her life. I think the evidence doesn't support that. And that's where the story wraps.
Yeah, that's the guy who's like still a politician, right? It's Ted Kennedy.
He's dead.
Oh, did he die recently? Like last couple of years in office?
Not as recent as you're suggesting. 15 years, maybe.
Really? I feel like there's not a guy.
I'm looking it up.
Time flies when you're having fun.
2009. 15 years on the nose.
There's people who say there's references to the Kennedy assassination, references to him totally directing criminal activities.
I think we're about 4 hours in, but dude, I totally want the Kennedy assassination info. Can we just lay that out there? Everyone involved in the government back in the 60s is out now. That was 50 years ago. You would have had to be 20 and you're 70 now. Like, come on. The whole government is flipped over. Like, how long does it have to be before?
That's another one of those conspiracy theories where if you are the right conspiracy theorist, not, there was an armed platoon waiting for waiting for JFK if he didn't get shot on the grassy knoll. But like, hey, that whole, there was mortician's putty in the back of his head where there really shouldn't have been any, considering that was the entry of the bullet. Why was that? That's like, okay, why'd you do that? And they were so secretive about the body and stuff.
And the guy that did it was immediately taken out, days later. The guy that they're like, this is the person that shot Kennedy. Boom, that person's dead in no time.
And the person who said was, I'm a patsy.
Yeah. It's just so, yeah.
That shot they say that Lee Harvey Oswald made is ridiculous. It's
well,
ridiculous.
but isn't the shooting the Howard 3 rounds in what is it, 10 seconds with the most of the gun?
It's like 3 rounds in 2.7 seconds or something.
Was it a bolt action gun?
Yes, an old Italian one.
I believe it most in
year's
the gun.
catalog bolt action rifle.
I don't believe I could shoot 3 times in 3 seconds unaimed with a bolt action 223. Maybe I could, but that's about the best you can do unaimed. How he took 3 aim shots like that.
I think Penn and Teller did it. They did an episode of Bullshit on conspiracy theories, just in general. And JFK was one of the ones they covered, but while they sort of debunked some of the conspiracy theories, Penn Jillette has since said many times that he said, well, we did the bullshit episode and we covered JFK, but there's still a lot about JFK that, doesn't really make any sense.
Right. They just pick the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could debunk the 9/11 thing and be like, oh, they say 9/11 had thermite on it. This proves that it wasn't thermite.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But what about the Pennsylvania plane? You just didn't touch that one, did you?
What about the Pentagon? Why is there a tiny, tiny hole in the Pentagon, not one the size of a 747? And why did those engines that were on either side that weigh like 6 tons not make a hole?
I don't even know if that's true.
It is.
Okay.
There's something weird about the Pentagon crash too. That's why I don't like watching the conspiracy shows, because I'm sitting over here like everyone's out there to get us.
Why didn't any of the parking lot cameras pick up the fucking plane hitting the building that pretty much flew like level with the ground?
They proposed that the pilot of that plane made a really difficult maneuver so that he had to come in, make a loop, and then come back. He didn't take the direct route to the Pentagon. He could have hit it on one side, but he made a big loop to hit it on the other side.
Yes,
so
because I think he wasn't aiming for the Pentagon. They thought he wanted the White House or the Senate or something like that.
But he hit the Pentagon perfectly.
But he was like, all right, I don't see the one I'm looking for. Here's a big one. Boom.
But they say that maneuver that he performed was a very difficult maneuver, and that just like 2 months prior, that guy had failed a basic flight test in a Cessna.
And it's like, I can't prove that what you're saying is wrong. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a big ball of worms, big ball of strings.
All right. Well, I have a clip here from Penn and Teller's bullshit, in which Penn and Teller reenact the Mosin Nagant. I if you're a JFK killing buff,
Conspiracy theorist
he didn't use the Mosin Nagant.
I thought it was a Mosin Nagant.
No, he used a Sears catalog Italian bolt-action rifle. Cost like I think $10 back in the day or something like that. So extremely cheap.
All right, sorry. Well, yeah, I'll let this play. It's the YouTube now. It's the copyrighted showtime. So freaking
actually had as much as 8 seconds. But for this test,
but I think he says 15 seconds or something.
So can 3 shots be fired in 5.6 seconds?
5.6 seconds.
Time me. Fire, cock, aim, fire.
He's firing from an elevated position, kind of through a tree. He's got to lean out the window a bit to make the shot. It's not even a good vantage point to do what he's trying to do. Honestly, the perfect place if you were going to do that. You don't want the target to be strafing left to right. You don't necessarily want it going away from you, because that adds some complications and some trigonometry if you're a sniper. That spot over by the fence, though, the target would be driving straight at you for several seconds. So in essence, it wouldn't be moving at all. It would just be getting larger. So that's, if you were going to do that, the best place to do it would be with the target coming straight at you, not going away from you, and not from that position.
I just watched the Penn and Teller thing. You almost forget 3 shots in 5.5 seconds. You're like, oh, the first shot's already cocked. See, it's really just a question of whether or not you can work the bolt twice in 5 seconds. And you can, if it's a smooth bolt.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a freaking, what is the 50 cal bolt action? A Beretta? Brett?
There's a Barrett M95.
That's the one I'm thinking of. I shot one from. Is it?
It's
AI?
bolt action. Call of Duty doesn't say so.
No, I haven't. I think there is.
There's a Barrett M82 and an M95, with M95's a bullpup.
There's
it's
who's the one? Oh, you wouldn't know what I shot at the Gamma Labs thing. I shot a 50 cal sniper rifle at this Gamma Labs thing, and do you know who has the record for the longest sniper shot?
Some guy from Canada.
It's Canada last time I heard.
It's Rob Longford, I think.
Who was the company that made the gun? Like something international?
Accuracy
AI?
International.
Accuracy International. The Accuracy International 50 cal sniper rifle. To work the bolt is like, it's not like if you're watching this, you're strong enough to do it. Like everybody's strong enough to do it, but it's not something you half-ass. You're like, bang, slam, tug. It's 50 times harder than a manual transmission. I don't know what else to compare it to. Like, can you do that? Yeah. But everything is a whack, sort of tug. These parts don't move around nicely. And
holy crap.
Yeah, I've heard people when people are talking about operating stuff like that, the way they always describe it is, you're like, is it hard? Do I need to do it like this, like that? They're like, just do it like a man.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Is that the one they call it? Is it the AS-50? Or is that something else? The Accuracy International thing. Just for, I guess, clarity.
I'm Googling it. Apparently, there's a lot of airline flights. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Holy crap.
What about it?
That's like that's almost to the point of not being practical. Because that's one of those that it has to be broken down. Like if you're deploying that in combat, it's a 2-man team at least, right?
No.
Like there's one guy humping the barrel, the other guy everything.
No, you can lug that around. It's not that heavy.
It's heavy though.
It's
okay. I shot it one time standing off my shoulder, and it's hard to hold it up. Like you can, but it's not like I'd hold it up and do it several times. Are you guys still there? You're all frozen on my screen. Oh, okay. Yeah, like you can do it. Kyle, you shot guns in this class standing up on your shoulder, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But you'll also admit that to hold it level and straight like that is kind of a strain.
You need to be a man.
Yeah. You know what? I would bet a lot of women couldn't do it.
It literally, you need to be a man. Like most women, I've seen women stand up and hold a 50 cal and fire it, but
it's all shaky.
They're the kind of women who could whip your ass.
Yeah. So like it's you need to be a relatively fit-ish man, you know, and even base level fitness man, whatever, and you're that guy, and you can hold it and you can shoulder fire it, but you can't be a kid. Probably couldn't do it at all. And that's how heavy it is, if that gives you any kind of thing. It's that gap where guys can do things and girls can't. It exists in that little thing.
Right.
Average guys and average girls.
I'm not a big military guy, but I have no doubt in my mind that a sniper, somebody that is classed as a sniper and will be issued one of these rifles, is probably pretty damn physically fit. But still,
I wouldn't want one of these night rifles as a sniper. Just imagine crawling through the bush with one of these big bitches.
It's a big ass rifle.
It has a really flat trajectory, and you can shoot through stuff. And that makes it a good choice for some jobs.
That would be more like an assassination rifle, like a modern day search and destroy guy.
Kill Kennedy.
That's what snipers
30 caliber
do, though,
bullet
right?
will kill a human, dude. You don't
Check
need
out that
a 50 caliber to do that.
Let me help someone in case they want to see what this thing. I think you probably know what an AS-50 generally looks like, but like
you can see my DayZ videos. I had one for quite a while.
L115 or something they used. I didn't think it was the AS-50. I could be wrong.
This looks like what I shot.
Oh, okay. I see.
So, and I'm looking. I can't tell if it's semi-auto or the one I shot was bolt action, so I couldn't tell if that one was that or not. Whatever. I don't really know my non-standard guns all that well, but it looked like that. It was about that size, about that weight, and you need to be a man to do it. Not a Hercules, but
watch that video. And that's one of the few girls I know who can shoot one standing up. Sometimes we'll skip like the first minute or so.
Oh, there's the obligatory butt shot. I just skipped
Dude, look
that.
at the arms on this chick.
Oh, I've seen this channel before.
Does she have to be wearing the short shorts when they're doing the behind?
She always wears the short shorts.
Oh, okay. So
all
it's
the
not just a.
time.
Okay.
You know what? YouTube has a lot of sometimes success in YouTube, and I was reading this about Jenna Marbles in particular, which is where this concept comes from. People like her because they want to be her. You know, there's a lot of girls who are just like, you know, I want to be Jenna Marbles. I want to, like have the cute boyfriend, make videos, hang out with my dogs. Like if you're a young girl, the Jenna Marbles life might be your dream life. And that's like part of the deal. I think that part of what this channel does is there's a lot of people who want to be that dude that he is putting this channel together knowing that is that his girlfriend or his wife?
So here's the genesis of the channel. The idea from the beginning was him teaching her to shoot, and when they first started, she was a complete novice, and they were not together. She was just someone he knew, and she went from being a complete novice to where she is now, where she's a really, really tactical shooter. But obviously, and I've talked to him about this, and she's really attractive, so putting her out there shooting stuff is a good idea, and they do a lot of that, and it's entertaining. She's in incredible shape. I asked her, I was like, what do you do? She's like, I don't do that much. I was like, no, come on, what do you do? Well, I do Insanity 4 days a week. I just do it 4 days a week, though, for 30 minutes. And I swim 3 days a week. And I like to do my squats on Sundays. And I'm just like, oh, wait. And then I do my acrobatics. And it was like, holy shit, so you're a finely tuned athlete. Okay.
Yeah, that's 800 yards. That's a pretty serious shot.
Yeah. I was impressed. Not a lot of stuff impressed me back then. But that guy, missing. Yeah, about that. That was when I started wearing my body armor just all over the place. It used to be on the base, you didn't have to, when you walked outside, you didn't have to have your body armor and stuff. Yeah, after that, it went with me everywhere.
Yeah, because it would be completely effective. Yeah, it'd be completely effective though, from that range.
Well, especially if it was 7.62 too, so it would have. I would have been dead before I hit the ground. So
flattened your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I've always called bullshit on the JFK thing. That motherfucker hit him with a 30 caliber round. There wouldn't be no sneezing up blood. It would have flattened his skull out.
Dude, what are you talking about? The back of his head came off.
Yeah, man. That looked like Kyle's pumpkin.
Yeah, his brains are in Jackie's lap.
I mean,
watch that shit in slow mo. The whole back of Kennedy's head comes off, and a chunk of brain as big as your fist dangles out.
If the back of his head comes off, you got shot in the front.
That's what I keep saying.
Well, that's the nature of the bullets. I mean, it goes in small and comes out big. So
yeah, so he had to get shot in the face, and the way they got it stolen is he shot him from the book Suppository behind him.
He said it. He said it. I knew he'd say it. I was waiting on him. He called it the book Suppository. I was going to talk about this until he said it. I knew he'd say it. I called that as soon as JFK got brought out. I'm like, I got to get him to say where they took the shot from. Oh, God.
Kyle's a master. He's like a Jedi.
No, I love that movie though. I love the JFK movie, and I've seen a lot of I've seen on the Discovery Channel they break that thing down, and as far as how the bullet came in and everything. And I don't have it on the top of my head right now, but I was thoroughly convinced that it could have been done by one shooter in the video that I watched. Though thinking about me trying to do what he did, fire those 3 shots in that small amount, I want to say 14 seconds, but it's probably less. It's probably much less.
Well, how far away was he?
100 yards or less, like 80 meters, I want to say.
And it was how big of a round? 7.62.
It's a 30 caliber, about a 30-06.
He had a Mauser or something. Yeah,
no, he had a $10 rifle from Sears and Roebuck.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. At 100 meters, that bullet should have just went in and out.
Yeah,
with
boom.
As high a caliber it was, it shouldn't have splattered.
Well, we don't know what kind of ammo was in that thing. It's 1960s era ammo, and God knows this.
Yeah, like the ammo's changed since 1960, Kyle.
Well, I mean,
Christ, when I was in Iraq, I was still using ammo from the Cold War.
Oh my God. Well, it depends. Was it an FMJ? Was it a Spitzer? A hollow point? Was it? I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's true. If it was a hollow point, I guess, yeah, it would have made a messy mess.
I didn't even know 30-06 came and all that. I thought it was all those deer rounds, the sort of blunt.
Oh man, you can reload a 30-06. There are literally, I'm going to say at least, I could probably name 8 different types of rounds you can shoot out of the 30-06, just bullet makeups. You can shoot Spitzers. There's, you can put the boat tail variation on every type of front. You can have the Nosers with the ballistic tips, hollow points, Spitzers. You can have the FMJ. You can change the core of the bullet. I mean, there's a lot of different makeups that you can.
Well, and nowadays they have what's called slap rounds, which I don't know if you guys have seen those, but they may be predominantly for 50 cal, but they're nasty.
I'm not. What's the makeup of the bullet? What is it?
It's made of tungsten and like a plastic type rubber.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and when
all
the
I got is
bullet
50 BMG.
hey, that works. You can shoot those slap rounds through your BMG if you can get a hold of them. I mean, it's made from tungsten, and it's basically the sharp as a needle, and they're used for anti-tanks.
Yeah.
How would they penetrate? Tank's got, what, 7.5 inches of sloped armor?
Well, it depends. Whose tank are we talking about here?
This stuff's designed to penetrate the reactive armor of the new tanks now that we have.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about a Russian T-90 tank here, because those guys
it would slice through it. I mean, it wouldn't even slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the armor now they got to.
Yeah,
was it like? They have the exploding shells that take away the effect of the armor unless you pierce through it. Now the reactive armor does what?
It's basically it's almost it's like a layered kind of effect. It kind of looks like
to absorb the explosion of the bullet, so it doesn't weaken the structure.
It's not. It doesn't really absorb it. It just deflects it. And it's typically they use them against. They're mostly put on the tanks now because of the RPGs. Because if you shot an RPG at that tank from an angle, it deflected the armor, especially if it was anti-tank. Yeah. But if you shot at it from the side, like at a 90-degree, you're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, the way a shaped projectile works, it's not, people think that it's the explosion or it's the actual penetration. It's the injection of a large amount of liquid metal into that tank and the gases that are caused from it.
Exactly, and it's
what's killing people.
It's the gases that are following it in.
Yep.
What did they call that? Percussive damage, I think's the term.
I've hered I've had like 5,000 people on my site so that you can miss with a 50 cal and still kill somebody.
No.
Yes, you can.
What?
No.
Yes. The shockwave alone from 50
you're full
caliber.
of shit. I own a 50 caliber rifle, and I've missed something with less than an inch, and it didn't even affect it.
I don't know what to tell you. I've seen it with my own eyes. Somebody being shot at by a 50 caliber rifle, and the bullet passed within 6 feet of him, and it ripped his arm off.
What? 6 feet? You're full of shit.
I've seen it.
6 feet.
6 feet.
I meant maybe 6 inches. I would believe you.
I can settle this. Don't worry, guys. I'll Google it.
I'm on ahead of
it. It doesn't work, Woody. The fact is, unless the bullet hits you, you're not going to take any of the energy or mass away from it.
Yeah, but the shockwave diminishes over distance. Like up close,
Yeah. The shockwave's initial gas is blowing out of the barrel from a small and confined area. Over distance, that bullet wouldn't have none of that.
It's also a very large projectile traveling at a very high rate of speed.
It's 661 grains. I mean, it's maybe 4 times the size of a 30 caliber.
Well,
it's not that much bigger.
The bullets that you're getting are 600 grains. The ones that they were shooting are like 700 plus.
Either or, it would never take your arm off at 6 feet, much less 6 inches.
According to the internet, Wings is right.
I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I'm serious. I've shot fruit and missed on purpose to see if it would do that. It doesn't. And a 30 cal would destroy, like a watermelon or pumpkin. It would obliterate it. Small cats gone, incinerated. But if you miss them, they cool. They're gonna eat their kit chicken.
You know what? Dude, Wings, this would make a great video.
This is your next YouTube video. Here you get Wings. Get yourself a watermelon, set up a paper target behind it, and miss it by, say, 6 inches at 100 yards.
Sure.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah.
I don't have a 50 cal, so I have no idea. The biggest thing I
What kind of scope do you have for it?
I have a 3x9x40.
What brand?
It's comes stock on it. I think it's a Leopold.
Yeah, Leopold's
That's the one to have.
That's all I've got.
I paid $6,800 for it right out of Barrett Arms. It's a Model 95. It holds it's got a 5-round magazine. Come with a Leopold scope, and it came with a bipod. Weighs 1.5 pounds, and a carrying case.
I got about 4 of those Leopold. I think I want to say 4.5 by 14 by 50 millimeters. I like the 50 millimeter scopes because you can turn them down to 4.5 and you can get decent night vision. I'm not talking about like seeing in pitch black, but it's better than your naked eye in low light conditions.
Hey Kyle, Wings has a $7,000 rifle. You sure you're gonna can you hang?
Dude, my 50 cal is my most expensive rifle. My target rifle's over 10 grand. I got done to it. That's the one I'm gonna use to shoot 900 feet with. I got a fluted bull barrel Remington 700 SPS. I got a lot done to that rifle.
A scope costs that much.
You have a scope that costs that much? Do you really?
I've got I wish I had one in the room with me. They're in the other room in the vault.
My rifle was $500, and I can get a quarter from 100 yards.
My rifle coming out the store was $714 after taxes, but I've put about 10 grand worth of work into it.
Okay, so all right. My rifles are about 2,600 out of the store, and there's a 6-month waiting period, and I got 4 of those. And
which ones are those?
Remington 40XBs. It's similar to the R700, but it's a tricked out target rifle that Remington makes, and it's very heavy. Right? I want to say that.
What's the twist on it?
You got the 8-lug scope bolts on it. You got the free floating barrel, glass pack, bull barrel, fluted.
Not everyone wants to hear about the twist rate on Kyle's rifle. Goodness gracious.
The only reason why I ask is because the fewer the numbers, the better.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. I don't know off the top of my head.
Typically, the best one would be what I've been told between 6 and 8.
Shoot.
Yeah.
The bolt in my rifle was about $600. It's an octagon bolt designed for the bull barrel.
Nice.
So it has more locking lugs on it.
Well, as soon as they got that,
whenever I look at a conspiracy theory, one of the first litmus tests that I use is, what's the game? What's the game? Oh, there's Bigfoots and we're hiding them. Why? Who would hide that?
Yeah, who's making money off
bullshit?
Bigfoots?
Who's making money off keeping Bigfoot hidden? Nobody.
They make money.
But when I look at something like Kennedy and like the military-industrial complex keeping the Vietnam War going, that sort of geopolitical domino that gets flipped when he gets flipped. It's like, yeah, I could see you taking him out. I don't know what this is. This is building. How do you get this photo of it? Was this building 7 after the first world?
Is Zach in on it?
Is Zach in on it? I'm just asking questions.
Zach's producing previously unseen World Trade Center photos. Like,
wait, how did you get Zach molding C4 to a column?
Dude, it's like a selfie of him.
You guys ever seen this cool POV footage from the hijackers on the plane? No, I haven't seen this, Zach. Why are you in this video?
Dude, he's cracking new ground. He's not using Google Images. He's on.
Never mind. You guys can't see this one now.
What if that was the only thing keeping the conspiracy from falling apart? Is no one using Bing image search? That's the only.
It's all on Bing, baby.
It's all on Bing.
It's all
curated off
on
of Google, but it's available on Bing. If you
where can we hide all of this sensitive information? Put them on Bing.
I'm just trying to learn about Tower 7, and there's a lot of porn.
I think Bing might take over Google.
Bing will absolutely take over Google.
What?
Holy! Have you tried Bing's AI image creator?
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking insane. I've been using it for all my thumbnails.
5 minutes in.
Oh, I've been banned so many times. I have to keep making different fucking accounts or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'll be like, and put huge boobs on her, and they're like, banned. I'm like, damn it.
After you type younger for the 8th time.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you put like, well, it was
I imagine
like grandmas, and I'm like, young woman, and they're like, banned. I'm like, God damn it.
They're like, this guy is a
too old.
I'm like, put a hot woman, and they're like, no, you can't do that.
I thought you were gonna be Kyle, like, computer, simulate a steel skyscraper burning for 8 hours. What happens? And it's like, nah, it's still on fire. And you're like, now make it building 7. You're like, it collapses.
Narrative
and the
crumbling.
I truly believe that 9/11 was an inside job, and I think it was the exact same type of inside job as the Kennedy assassination, wherein you allow someone to do the thing you want to happen, like and you maybe even guide them a little. You maybe even like ease the path for them. There was 9 years prior to the Kennedy assassination. God, I wish I'd written down what the operation was called. It was a hypothetical for allowing an assassin to get near someone. Basically, what people think the Kennedy assassination was, like sort of finding a useful idiot to assassinate someone or make an attempt on someone, and then immediately removing them from the picture. It was an operation that they had thought up and considered, and I think it was for foreign governments, but it's kind of what I think that's what happened to Kennedy. I think they found Oswald and they guided him, molded him, manipulated him, and allowed him to get close. And that's what
I mean,
happened.
Oswald's
So
whole
that he could-
history is like wild. I don't know how that guy was under 24/7 surveillance to begin with.
You ever
Where he,
watch
defected to Russia and then was like, never mind. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean, never mind? What are you talking about? Yeah,
I love-
sure, come
I-
back. You're just a normal
I always
guy.
recommend the Stephen King book 11/23/62.
Yeah,
I think I said that right. 11/22/63. That's what I mean.
They made that. Did you watch the series?
It's the one. All right. I read the book in prison and loved it. I read it in like 2 days.
Yeah.
So when I got out and I saw they have James Franco cast as the main guy, it's a little bit of a letdown because I don't hate James Franco, but the guy in the book is a big dude. Like he's call him 6'3", 6'4", 220. Like when he's in a physical situation, you're like, all right, we got this. You know what I mean? Like most of the time you're like,
They do that all the time.
you're not gonna
Like Jack
bully our guy,
Reacher.
you know?
Yeah.
Jack Reacher is supposed to be like a 6'5", like super jack guy. And
He
they're
is
like,
now.
And here's Tom Cruise.
Kyle liked it especially, and I think the title was a number, a date.
11/22/63.
The show.
He weaponizes autism too. I just want to quit there. Kyle has his own lane where of things that he's very good at. Anyway,
absolutely.
Yeah, that thing set up a universe that was super fascinating, but then there were other parts of it that I don't know.
You didn't like the love story, and I found it so endearing. It was the love story.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the story of essentially, like I'll skip over most of it just to get to the point. It's a time traveler who's trying to prevent the Kennedy assassination, but he's not able to go to like the day before. He has to go to like 6 years before and live for 6 years in the 60s. And so while he's back there, he finances himself by continuing to teach school as he did in modern times, as well as do the whole Marty McFly thing and use his sports almanac to gamble a bit and keep himself afloat. Well, he falls in love when he's back there. And it's this beautiful love story with this damaged woman who has like her own baggage, and you come to like care as much about how his love story with her is going to end up as you do about whether or not he's going to save John F. Kennedy. You really do. You're like, fuck Kennedy. It's all about the girl. You know, like
80% of this book is not about what the book is about. Right? That's another way to view it. 80% of this book is about this guy's relationship with this woman's relationship with her ex-husband, the like neighbors figuring out where he comes from, whether or not his betting is going to be approved or disapproved by the loan sharks or something like that. Like you really want to know what happens if Kennedy survives, what this alternative timeline is like. That's what they set up. There's the rules of time travel in this universe are that like he walks through this door and he enters this time. I don't think he can choose the time, but he walks in there. It's a couple years
it's
before.
the same it's always the same. He has a portal to a specific day.
Yeah.
I think it's 61 or 62.
And he can like save someone's life, but then if he walks back through that portal, it's undone, right? So or better yet, if you walk through it a second time, it's undone. So I go in.
That's what it is.
I save a life and I go back and it's cool. If I go in again, like to save a second life, no. You've reset to the original. You have to save both if you want that to be the case.
So does he eventually have to like save his girl, but it will kill Kennedy or something?
If I recall correctly, he saves Kennedy and he's got the girl maybe, but saving Kennedy turns out to be a mistake. It was terrible for humanity, not wonderful like he thought. So he has to walk back through.
He has to kill Kennedy.
Yeah, he saves Kennedy, loses the girl in the process. She dies in his arms. And
right.
And when he goes back to see what, came of it, it turned out that changing time not only created a lesser timeline, but it also like sort of fractured reality in a way, so that the future is not only it's not just that like, oh, Kennedy lived, so Vietnam actually got real bad, and like we never like the Cold War never ended. Like I think those things were true, but also like now we live in like 100 years of darkness, and there are like earthquakes all the time because reality is kind of tearing itself apart. Like he damaged space time, and
So
like
mission failed.
mission failed. And so then he's like, maybe I just go back. And then he has this one. Well, all he has to do is like go back in.
This is how I would write this show.
See, all he has to do is go back in and then walk back out, and it rinses away everything he did the first time. Everything he did. And he has this one thought of like,
redo it.
Yeah.
He even considers like, maybe I'll go back and try to like have that relationship again. But then he's just like, shit, I'm 10 years older now. Like I was already 10 years her senior. Now I'm 20 years older. Like this isn't going to work.
Oh, he
so,
doesn't
like,
bounce back with any age stuff.
He's aging while he's in there. Yeah. So
what year is he coming from?
He's coming from like modern day. Like for when the book was written was probably like late 90s, early 2000s, something like that.
After Kennedy didn't die, it got terrible fast. But not so much because of Kennedy, more because the guy who made the time machine fucked up.
It was more because altering time is just a no-go. It damaged the universe in some way. Like I said, there are like earthquakes all over the world, like terrible earthquakes all the time, and the sky is darkness, and there are lightning storms, and like the streets are full of like roaming hoodlums doing violence.
Bothered me a lot. Like if he really focused on, hey, here's an alternative timeline where without Kennedy's death, people didn't get motivated to fight the Red Army. People didn't do this. People didn't do that. Vietnam played out in a different way. I think there maybe was no Vietnam. And then
I think that's the case. Yeah.
It turns out that Vietnam actually got America to move in the right direction for some later problem. So it sucked, but at least it was good in this other way. And like that, I would have really liked. But thunderstorms and earthquakes and volcanoes and shit like that. It's like, this is just like a cop out.
Yeah, that's lost the plot.
Yeah.
Like it should all be time related, not like, oh, the rift has caused geological and thermal disruptions. Like,
that's how he is with endings, man. They don't end the way you want. Like, look, and then
I told him how to end it better.
And the sweetest part of the whole thing is once he gets back to modern times and he resets and we're back to square one, he decides to go to the woman he loved to her, to look her up, and she's still alive, but she's very old.
Gross.
And he sort of sits in the audience while she's like receiving her lifetime achievement award for teaching. And it's this super sad moment where like he asks her if he can have a dance with her. She's like 80 and he's like 40. And they sort of have a slow dance at this big ball that's in her honor. And she's like, "You look very familiar. Did I teach you?
Did you pipe me down about 60 years ago?"
And because like because like he's reset the timeline. She's never met him before, but there's some sort of residual sort of thing there. Yeah, there's some shadow of reality that's happening there. And it's this really sad, tender moment that's beautiful. But then, like you said, the earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff was just kind of a cop-out, kind of lame, didn't care for it. I wish it had just been, oh, this timeline sucks. That would have been plenty for me. But I think they really had to hammer home that, like, there's no way he can go back and fix anything. And also, like, maybe going back and just, like, being with this woman would ruin reality. I think they had to, like, make that clear for the character so he wouldn't go back and do anything else.
That's the same one where he saved a person's life, right? And he had to
saved a lot
battle
of people,
diarrhea.
Yeah. Like the thing about going back and changing the past is, as the book puts it, time is trying to stop you. And the bigger the thing you want to change is, the harder time tries. So if you're just trying to, I don't know, like buy some meat in the past and bring it to the forward time to save some money on ground beef, which is what the original.
That's where you're an example of time traveling.
It's an example from the book.
Me? Oh, okay.
It's an example straight from the book because the time machine.
Fucking loser. Who would do that?
Well, the owner of a restaurant would. See, the time machine is in the bottom of a restaurant.
You own a time machine. Get out of the restaurant business, moron. What is wrong with you? You fucking retard. Oh, how are we going to save money on cabbage? Our overhead's out. You have a fucking time machine, you idiot. You have a fucking time. How about you go back and you invest in something and you can have all the meat you want? You can buy a farm back then and be Tyson.
Well, instead, he goes back and buys hamburger meat for 10 cents.
I hate that.
So he can sell super cheap hamburgers.
He does that.
So fucking stupid.
Yeah, he sells really high quality, great burgers, and the prices never go up.
Oh man, what's this guy's secret? And he's got a undulating.
Dude, they spend 20 minutes on the fact that his restaurant is fantastic.
I love
the prices are low.
We gotta come back in time and sell this meat that we bought cheap before it goes bad.
Yeah, just wasting money, powering up this time machine.
Another one that has so many of Stephen King's stuff they're really fucking good, and I'll be obsessed with it. And then we'll get to the end, completely lose me. The Outsiders, that show on HBO. Remember this, where you had like an invisible child raping demon that would like frame people for his child rape and murder, and traveled the country doing that.
Oh,
and
I don't know this.
Oh my God! You need to. All right, The
Outsiders. Isn't that Tom Cruise, Matt?
No.
What am I thinking of?
I'm not quite sure, but there's a HBO miniseries called The Outsider, and it is wonderful. It is so good. I've talked about it here before, but like I think it's 10 episodes. If it's not, it's 9 or 11. It's something like that, and it keeps you spellbound and highly entertained for 95% of the ride. And the last 5%, you're just like, shucks, that could have ended better. But
does he do anything fun with the time machine? Like a good idea?
Yeah. I mean, like he, for a while, he does a few short trips, like back and forth.
Meat related.
Saving lives. No, saving lives. Like he wants to know, like, if you can change big things, right? Can you? So they sort of look
there might
up.
have been a girl that got paralyzed from a gunshot. Does that sound right?
There you go. Yeah, there was someone who got paralyzed in a hunting accident. So he makes sure that he's there to distract the guy who fired the shot.
Mm-hmm.
So like, he makes sure he's there, and he keeps that guy away from hunting that day so that he cannot paralyze this young woman. And then he goes back and he looks up, newspaper article, and he sees she's got a bright future, and like now she's been able to get married and have
woman
children.
Who isn't paralyzed, bright future ahead.
Well, he's able, you're able to look up to see like what people are up to.
He's able to.
He looks up on Facebook and just sees what's going on.
Local walker enjoys the movement. Sometimes just going to get up and move your legs. I love jogging. If I couldn't walk, I'd kill myself. Is it like the trade-off timeline where, like, because she was prevented from being paralyzed, somebody else had to get shot?
No, it's not. But what would happen is, while he's trying to change the time, the bigger the thing you're trying to change is, like I was saying before, like if you're just trying to go get some meat, time doesn't really fuck with you. But if you're trying to save a life, or when he was trying to save the person.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, trees will fall in front of the car. Your battery would just be dead that day. You get explosive diarrhea. Like that's literally a thing. Like he was trying to save the woman who got paralyzed. It was kind of hard. Like 3 or 4 things popped up at the last second. To save a life, a bunch of shit started popping up. And then he tries to save a whole family. Like he tries to save a whole family from a disaster. And everything's going wrong. Murder. Yeah. He tries to intercede on a family murder. He's getting. He has to wear diapers. He's shitting himself to the point where he goes and gets diapers.
So I listened to it via audiobook. They spend like 40 minutes, an hour buying diapers, and how the salesman was kind of judgy about him buying adult diapers, and him. I'm like, am I the crazy one? I've had diarrhea before, but I never thought Pampers were the solution to it.
That's because
I've been getting really into diapers recently.
But think about it this way, Woody. If you had to play in the Super Bowl and you had diarrhea, and there's no way you can be sprinting off that field, you're like, all right, give me the big pack of Pampers. I'm doubling up. We're going to stay on the field of battle. We're getting this fucking done.
You just seem to think that diapers were a normal thing. Like, I've got diarrhea, so obviously I'm going to get some diapers. Like, why are you giving me a hard time? Like, you're acting like I'm weird, cashier. Of course I buy diapers. I have diarrhea.
Hey, would you rather be caught in the Super Bowl in diapers or have shit in your pants? Like, would you rather the meme be like, look at Woody, he was in the Super Bowl, he's wearing diapers, or Woody shit his pants in the Super Bowl? At least then you could play it off. I was partying a lot. I had no idea that would happen. I was giving my all. But if you're wearing diapers, they're saying, yeah.
If you're wearing diapers, it's an admission that this is a very regular occurrence. Like
they're Nike branded diapers.
You got Nike, you got Under Armour diapers contoured. But like, if it's just like shit in the back of your pants, it's like that guy had a travesty of a day. But this is probably the one time he shit his pants since he was a child.
Somebody hit me in a weird way. I was going in for a tackle in football, and somebody hit me, and I was, shit my pants out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? You ever step on a tube of toothpaste? That's what happened. I got hit hard. What do you want from me?
Stepping on a tube of shit.
So this guy's got a diaper full of shit while he's saving JFK? That's this job?
It was a different situation. He was saving this family.
Is he just like trying to be like, Mr. President, you have to get down covered in shit, nose bleeding, like just hair falling out, just yellowing at a rapid rate. Mr. President, you have to get down, bleeding from the eyes.
Clothes are falling off.
He's raging. He's aging like Benjamin Button with like the falling hair and the quickly.
If you're interested in 11/22/63 and you're not interested in reading a very thick book, they did make a mini series out of it a couple years ago, starring James Franco, and it's quite good. And they gloss over a lot of the diapers and nonsense, and they get right to the point. They cut a few things out. And, again, probably 8, 9, 10, 11 episodes, 45 minutes each.
Happen? Like what other than pooping your pants or getting diarrhea? I would assume like bloody noses. What else happens?
Oh, no. It's like traffic jams, getting attacked by random people. The mob shows up and like beats him to the point where he's got temporary memory loss and he doesn't even remember what he's there for anymore. Like the mob because he'd been doing the sports betting, and like the mob, he owed so much money to like these organized criminals that like
he owed money. He knew the results.
No. He didn't owe money. Like they wanted their money back. Like he won fair and square, but like he wouldn't just bet that the Blue Jays are gonna win tonight. He would bet that like Frazier's gonna knock him out in the 8th. Stuff like that. Like he'd get the biggest long shot he could come up with. He'd be like, what are the odds on Frazier to win? And they're like 1.5 to 1. What if I pick knockout? 2 to 1. What if I say knockout in the 8th? I'm like, are you kidding me? You're gonna pick the round? 5 to 1. How about that? Make it 7 to 1. It's your money, buddy. Sure. Wait, how much you want to bet? 2,000? Come on and have a seat with us and watch the fight. I'll buy you a beer.
This is 1965 money, right? Like,
yeah, right. And then Frazier KOs him in the 8th or whatever the fuck, and they're all like, not wanting him to let him walk out of the bar. Now it's like this guy just won $16,000 or whatever it was, $10,000, $20,000 of 1962 money. It's like
king's ransom.
The fuck, a car cost $800, dude. Are you? He just smoked us like we're down for the quarter now.
Yeah, what's like a yearly salary back then? Like $4,800,
probably something like that. Sure, yeah. So he'd do stuff like that, and so that meant that like those organized criminal types had been searching for him because he had moved around the country. That's the other thing. It's a time machine that only goes to one time in one place. So he starts up like all Stephen King novels.
Who made that happen? Like
it's not a machine. It's a portal. Yeah, it's like a natural phenomenon. You like walk down the stairs of the restaurant into the basement, and you come out not in a cupboard or like a pantry, but on the streets of 1961 small town Maine. You're just like, what the fuck happened here? And then you like go back to like where that door is, on the streets, and you're able to like walk back into like the pantry, like the stairwell of the restaurant in modern times. So like he has to travel. Obviously, he's got to get to Dallas, where Kennedy gets shot. So he kind of goes down to Florida. He takes his time doing it because he's got like 6-8 years to burn.
Yeah.
it's an interesting story because you've got like 8 years of this guy's life, a little bit more than that actually, because I think at one point he might spend like a year or two back in time, and then he fucks some shit up and he's got to reset. It's an interesting story. I liked it a lot. The mini series with James Franco is pretty fucking good. They, like I said, they gloss over a bunch of the nonsense, and there's a character that, you know, how, like Game of Thrones was, like when Tyrion gets like badly scarred, but they still make him pretty handsome. Like, but in the books, he's missing the whole nose. He's like Skeletor with a hole in his face.
He's gross looking, but they keep him looking not gross.
There's a character in the book who also gets maimed badly, and the same thing happens in the miniseries. It's like, yeah, that's not a nice scar you got there, but you're okay.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, there's a character that gets badly maimed, and it's a terrible thing.
What happens? Hit with a cleaver. That guy's trying to take on me to the future.
Yeah, kind of cleaved in the face with a, you know, cut. They get their face all cut up with a knife, but you know, in the TV version, not so bad.
Yeah, truth tends to come out, or you like to believe that it.
I don't know.
does,
I mean,
you know,
I think
who knows?
I think the CIA killed Kennedy. I think the CIA keeps secrets. I think the CIA keeps secrets. I think the people who
That's
keep
a little
secrets really well
conspiratorial.
are intelligence agencies.
Next thing you know, there's a thin blue line where the police protect each other.
Next thing you know, you're going to tell me that they poisoned St. Louis on purpose in the 50s with chemicals. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did that happen?
Yes.
A little,
they absolutely
a little
poisoned multiple cities testing to see
when
what
you
would
put it like
happen
that
in mostly low-income and
Poison
black
St.
areas.
Louis.
Yeah. They say like the crack
None
thing,
of your
that's
family
100%
got
true.
poisoned. Yeah, were you also damaged by the Tuskegee Airmen experiments? No, your people were fine.
Well, I wasn't there.
Like these
No,
secrets
you
don't
weren't.
stay.
At the black.
They come out like after it's like no longer important though. It's like, oh, by the way, in 1947 we poisoned a bunch of people in St. Louis. It's like, you bastards. Like, oh, I'm sure you're not doing anything now. Like, I'm sure it's all above board right now.
I wasn't really alert at the time, or maybe alive, but like, what started the Vietnam War? Like a fake
Gulf of
naval
Tonkin, right?
Tonkin,
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I bet that was immediately questioned. Like, I don't know when the Gulf of Tonkin happened. I'm going to make it up. 1972. I bet in like 73 and 74, people were questioning it. Kyle, do you know when it happened?
My best guess is 64, 65. No, 65.
Oh, well before.
What would started
the war,
the war
ended in 73. That's my mistake.
Yeah, but I don't know much about like the dates in Vietnam. I really don't.
No, it gets overshadowed by World War II and all the media.
Yeah, I like that one. And I like the Civil War. The Civil War is neat.
I totally feel you on the moon landing tier ones, where it's like, it does not matter to me. I could learn 1000% it didn't happen, and I'd be like, oh, damn, they got. I'd be like, they got me, like that, like that. That would be about it. I wouldn't. I don't think that one's it.
What do you truly get from knowing if it was fake or if it was real? Like either way, like it doesn't really matter. I feel like.
I don't think. I haven't looked into the moon one at all. Seems like we went to the moon. The videos and all that, but I could be wrong.
Seems like we went.
Seems like we did.
My thing, I'm back to it's a lot of people to keep a secret for. Is it 70 years now? Something like that.
You know what's funny about that is there does come a time when it's way easier to keep a secret. Like, because everybody dies like 80 years after, that's prime secret hour.
It's cemented in. Yeah.
But see, the difficult part is that first 60 years.
Who's going to care at that point?
That's true, actually. You know, like JFK, though. I want to know what's up with that.
Seems like the
Dude,
CIA,
I bet you right now.
Kind of come out and almost admit it, like that it was a CIA related thing.
Well, let's say if JFK was killed by the government, if they told us that right now, what's really going to happen? Probably nothing.
Nothing. I have no power. I would not riot in the streets. I was not alive during JFK's life.
If it happened, if they told us the very next day it happened, something probably would happen. People would be riled up. But right now, who gives a fuck? JFK
I don't think people would even care. Like The CIA has admitted, like, oh yeah, Operation Mockingbird in the 50s and 60s. Yeah, we had the CIA gave talking points to all the mainstream media organizations to launder talking points and beliefs into the American people to bolster support for wars and foreign intervention. But we're not doing that anymore. And it's like, really?
Dude,
like, so you did that, and but you're not doing it anymore. All right.
You're young for this, but the first Iraq war, the way they beat those war drums was next level. Just Condoleezza Rice out there with, hey, you don't want the next 9/11 to be a mushroom cloud over New York City. We have to go into Iraq. It's like they had nothing to do with 9/11. You just she's like, no. I didn't say they had anything to do with 9/11. I would just, put them in the same sentence repeatedly.
Yeah, but Iraq, pretty scary, right? Like, that's
right? Saddam's a madman. He kills his own people. Meanwhile, his people are trying to have a civil war.
He deserved that invasion for threatening to kill George Bush.
Did he threaten to kill George Bush?
He didn't. No, not just threaten. They stopped a plot to kill George Bush Sr. That was from Saddam Hussein. Just for that, I always felt like that's why little Bush went in. He's like, he threatened to kill my dad, and I'll bring the entire front of the U.S. military to your country and have you hanged then. And so he did. The fact that we held on for like another half decade or whatever was what never made sense to me. It's like, dude, we hung Saddam Hussein, who in my childhood was like a TV bad guy. Like it would be like if we hung Kim Jong-un or something, or if we got Vladimir Putin. Like they went and got him and hung him. We did that. It was his fucking country.
Way more.
A long time. Yeah. Oh yeah. He was in power for a very long time. I really don't know how long. Maybe since the late 70s or something. I don't know. I remember. Maybe you've seen it. I saw it over and on the History Channel. It's when he took power, and they're like coming in and grabbing. I don't know what you call them. Maybe senators or the equivalent of that. They're grabbing them, the ones that aren't with him, and everybody's in the room sweating, fucking not knowing who's next to be grabbed by the fucking security forces. They're dragging people out of the room to be tortured to death and fucking executed and shit. Yeah, he was wild.
Well,
but I don't know why we hung around for all those years afterwards and just poured money down the.
Probably money.
Yeah, everything's money related somehow.
Yeah, but why weren't we more upset about it? I mean, I didn't care because I wasn't there, but it was like, why are we still there? Like everybody seemingly should have felt that way. Oh well, ISIS is there. That's where we're fighting them. It's the front line for ISIS. It's like they're only there because it's where we are. They're saying the same thing. Why are you invading Iraq? That's where the Americans are. That's where they are. This is the front line. If we leave, then they leave. We don't give them a front line that we're sitting there waiting with a fucking rifle.
That was the Taliban we were fighting all those years, not ISIS.
Not in Iraq, though. That was Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah, Afghanistan.
If you had the power to instantly know the truth about a mystery, which mystery would you learn about?
The creation of the universe.
That's good.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a bad power to have because you're going to know the creation of the universe and it's going to hurt.
I want to know the creation of the universe. I want to know if there's an intelligent design or simulation theory, whatever the fuck. I want to know if it's just chemistry that repeats for infinity, and this is like this is the trillionth iteration of the same universe that just expands. Rubber band.
You don't want these answers.
Explodes again and just keeps doing that.
That probably is objectively the best mystery to solve because, like, just saying JFK, that one, you get to know if God's real. Because I assume in that one, like Kyle says, I want to know the mystery of the universe, and they go, it was God. And it was the Christian God, or it was the Muslim God.
It's not going to be like that, though. It's the concept would be so beyond us. It would be like if my dog all of a sudden was aware and understood that he has pictures of himself on the internet.
There's yes or no question.
How could I explain to my dog the internet? And like we're not going to, but you're not going to. It's not going to. It's going to the terms of the language.
Stupid for dog. You to my dog already knows that.
The terms of the language are beyond our.
Has
our
the universe
brains.
always existed?
Our
yes
brain.
Or no? You know?
We can't even see the colors.
Yeah.
Like we can't even see all the colors and hear all the sounds.
Okay, well, let's leave that one behind. I'm sorry I messed the question up. Let me give a better answer.
I like your answer.
No,
I don't know they're all hating on you.
I have a better one.
I'm not hating. I think it's a great. I think it's a great question. You'd have to. If he's hating, I'm hating too.
I have a better question.
But I like the conversation of it. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What's your other one, Kyle?
Today is the anniversary of JFK's assassination. Of course, it's so I would go back and get that one. It's
would be really fucked up is that if
drop off the creation
would be
of the universe.
It is, but would be really fucked up if the person that is giving you the answer genie is like, I can't tell you that either. It's kind of connected to the universe answer.
They're like the same. It's the same as the first question. The same guy that created the universe killed JFK. It was God that did it. Lee Harvey Oswald was the true son of our Lord Almighty. He came here to give JFK's life for our sins.
And
I like how you're like, you wanted to know, you're like, which God's right? Is Jesus right?
Yeah, I'd want to know.
Imagine
who's closest?
And he leans in close and says, Joseph Smith.
I would be on my way. I'd be packing up a U-Haul, moving to Utah, ready to pay penance to the one true church if that was true.
Yeah, but if they were like, nah, Jewish God's right, you'd be like, kill them all.
No, I'd be like, hook me up. I'm gonna get skin graft surgery back on my penis so they can cut it off again
properly this time.
I'm gonna double dip my Judaism. Yeah, I'd have to. It'd be tough because I'd show up in Israel and they'd be like, I don't think you're Jewish, and I'd be like. And I'd have to say something about, oh my God, the prices at this airport. And then they'd be like, okay. They'd be like, do something athletic. And then I'd like miss a soccer ball. And they'd be like, okay, all right. This guy's in the mix. Like, tell us about your stock portfolio. And I'd be like, fuck, they're going to know. I don't know anything about that.
Like, be funny. You do impressions. They're like, all right, let him in.
All right. You like Seinfeld? You like Curb? All right. You're in the mix. You're in the mix, brother. Yeah, I would be very interested to know. I'd be depressed if it was like, no, there is no God. There's nothing. You're just a meaningless nothing. That'd be so depressing.
Yes, putting someone's penis in your mouth is cheating.
Yeah. But you know, and I felt like Clinton did something to lower the country's morality. You know, when he did that.
That Kennedy never did.
Well,
Kennedy
didn't say that.
Kennedy banging starlets and lying to the American public, basically starting the Cuban Missile Crisis and then inflaming it and then lying about how he solved it.
And Ted Kennedy absolutely didn't let a woman die in the trunk of his car and forget about it conveniently for a couple days.
Is the trunk part true?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is this the Chippequick thing? Am I mixing it up? Because I
thought she was in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
You're right. She was in the passenger seat. Yeah. Chappaqua.
Right, it's a tough one. That sounds pretty good.
Drowned a woman in my car.
Yeah, if I remember right, he was drunk driving. He drove off a bridge, maybe into a lake for sure, and he was able to get himself free. And he sort of just let that situation settle for a bit. So now, you know, like the alcohol's out of his system. Yeah. And now he's not drunk anymore. Now like that. Look, that was 2 days ago. Who's to say? And don't
forget about John Kennedy's dad working with the mob as well as lobotomizing one of his children.
Yeah.
At the time, I don't judge lobotomies as harsh because they thought that it was helping. They had no idea the actual impact of it. Like
that's like looking forward from 50 years
where you're a danger to yourself and everyone around you, and you might swallow your tongue and die. And like,
I believe she was masturbating.
Oh, really?
That's just hot. No, I think it was more. But it's like 50 years from now, they might look back and be like, he put his children on Adderall. Do you know well that like at the time
they put their kid on hormone treatment when he was 7? Yeah, here he is parading around a rally. Everybody was cheering.
Yeah, I don't know. I forget how we were on the Me Too era. Yeah, he just was it was like he ran out of apologies and started going on the offensive, and the whole world saw it and said, nope, you need to be apologetic on this until the day you die. You need to be sorry. You need to, don't go clapping back at people asking you. It's just you'll never get past it.
Yeah, she had special needs, and she was, I guess, kept as a family secret, and then lobotomized her, which made her uber retarded, basically, because then she had limited motor skills and could barely speak.
That sucks.
Now let's look up the lobotomized Kennedy.
Yeah. Howard Stern has a hilarious bit about Rosemary Kennedy being lobotomized. If you ever want to hear it, he does a nice impression of Daddy Kennedy, and he's like, she was masturbating at the table, and so we drilled a hole in her head. It's just, it goes on for 30 minutes of him doing a Kennedy impression and talking about lobotomizing his daughter for masturbating at the dinner table or something like that. It's when Stern was a very mean man.
Is it Stern doing the?
Oh yeah. He does a very good Kennedy impression.
I thought for sure. I wonder if people were feeding him lines the whole time.
Perhaps, but he's flowing with it. So he does when he does flow with stuff. He can just be really nasty. And maybe they fill in every third joke or something like that. So who knows?
Kennedy just had Marilyn Monroe killed. She just got out of line and he just whack her. She's done.
Kennedy.
Kennedy was a good guy.
Was he?
I don't know.
Or was he a guy who really benefited from dying early?
He was getting so much shit done. He got a lot of shit done.
Was he? Did he?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really. I can't wait.
Cuban Missile Crisis, civil rights, space program, landing on the moon. He didn't make it to it, but it was his program, and he's got that whole speech where he was talking about it. He really funded NASA. That's 3. There were lots of altercations with the Russians that he negotiated deals that were either advantageous to the United States or were at least fair. Like he wasn't losing ground when it came to moving missiles from this place and shifting the global superpowers nuclear arsenal around.
Yeah, but then there was the Bay of Pigs because him and his brother read James Bond novels and they thought that's what the CIA was.
That was a real problem. Yeah, that was a real problem.
They're like, no, man, that's not how it works. You see, but to me, the intent almost means as much as the action because JFK, space programs, go to the moon, all that stuff. But it was born from we got to beat the Russians just in terms of a PR campaign, and we want to try to run their economy red hot because our economists say that'll just crush them. They'll just collapse under their own weight. And so it was nice that NASA got the funding, but does it? It
was the space race was, that's what they called it. It was the space race was part of the Cold War. It was like another event in the Cold War. We had missile programs, there were bomber programs, there were missile defense programs. There, everything had an event in the Cold War. And then, of course, there were exhibition games that we played in Vietnam and Afghanistan.
Preseason.
Yeah. I can keep going all day. The Cold War was fascinating. And the players were evil on both sides, it seems. But in the end, we did run their economy red hot, and that doesn't work with your economy.
Yeah, not that kind of red. They didn't like it. I told you before the show, I'm good for bad puns, and that's about it. Every once in a while, I'll have a good pun, but the rest of them are just are cringeworthy.
Oh, so you want a properly hot girlfriend?
Exactly.
Who doesn't play by those rules? Hot. Donald Trump. I don't think Donald Trump ever worried that someone thought his girl was too hot.
No, never. He got off on that, walking in and being like, "All these politicians are jealous as hell right now. Look at these frumpy fat bitches."
Dude, remember the inauguration? Remember the inauguration where it's him and his wife and Pence and his wife? And Pence's wife is 40, 50 pounds overweight and 5'4" or something like that. I don't know how tall Melania Trump is, but she's tall.
We're 5'11". Most models are tall.
She's really fucking tall, which makes sense because that Barron Trump kid is going to be a fucking 7-footer. It looks like.
Mike Pence has the best hair in the game. It looks great.
It's attractive to bugs.
It just looks great. To bugs? Why? Because it's so bright?
No, he was on camera and there was a bug all over
during
him.
the debate. A housefly came and landed in this, and he has really gray hair, so it just stood out and it stayed there for a while.
Yeah.
It's the only interesting thing that happened in that debate.
I didn't watch
always suck. The VP debates always fucking
Mike Pence
suck.
said like 6 things over the course of 4 years. And one of them was like, right before Me Too got big, he's like, don't make fun of me for not going to dinner with single women. I'm being careful. And everybody's like, fucking prude, dumb bitch. And then suddenly just a cavalcade, an avalanche. And he's just sitting at home with his fat wife like,
I want video of Pence doing that. But yeah, Me Too guy is huge, and he looked like a genius.
Kryptonite to anyone who would lie. I saw this big news story. Somehow I got linked this thing from Australia. It was Australian news, and I guess that there was, during the Me Too thing at its height, there were a lot of these Australian celebrities being accused, and like 3 of them, it turned out, like, no, they were vindicated. They ended up winning defamation suits against their accusers, but the damage was still done. You know, like these people's names have been dragged through the mud, and this news story was following that. And they had one of the guys who'd been accused, and he was talking about how he was suicidal and thinking about killing himself just to spare his family the embarrassment of the false allegations. And then they had this undercover footage of the interview where the woman is accusing him, and she's being coached by the interviewers. They're like, no, maybe say it like this. Maybe say, I think what we really want to focus on is that their position of power is what kept you silent. Okay.
Ooh, that's skeevy.
And they go, all right, and action. So what would you say was the reason why women in your situation don't speak up more? And she's like, well, you know, the power that they have, it really keeps us silent. Cut. The power and the influence. You know, we really want to focus on the power. And it's like, is this a movie they're filming or an interview? And at one point, one of the like people who's a journalist actually says like, maybe we shouldn't be putting words in her mouth. And like, shut up, Dave. And and they continue like faking this interview, like accusing this guy of some sort of I don't know, whatever.
Did he get justice out of it? Did they go like, hey, you're clearly bullshitting, you can't do this?
I mean, after months and months of dragging his name through the mud.
Okay, so after his life is ruined, and
after his life is ruined,
and after like all word association with his name from now until eternity is going to be rapist or molester or something like that, like the damage has been done.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's fucking Terry Schiavo. He married Terry Schiavo.
Oh, I showed him.
I don't think either of them were ready for this photo to be taken. It doesn't.
Dude, he looks handsome to me. He's a good-looking guy.
Looks like he's halfway into a blink.
He has the face of a middle schooler.
Wait, who the fuck is this again?
This is George H.W.
Bush. George Bush Sr.
Oh, that's cute.
And this is
before he was in the CIA.
He looks vampiric.
He's handsome and
very strong bone structure. She's fucking ugly is what she is. She looks like there's something wrong with her.
Why does she have her head like that?
She looks like she was at the school for malformed young women or something like that. Like she looks literally retarded. Like this looks like a little touch of Down syndrome or something.
Hey, I got a game we could play right
That's
now.
where you get George W.
I got a game we can play right now, and I already know the winner. Who is the sexiest male president in his prime?
JFK.
Nope.
Probably JFK would be my. Wait. Wasn't Gerald Ford like uber super athlete or something before?
He was.
He
was a
football player.
Football player.
What did Gerald Ford look like?
But he wasn't a handsome man. He looked like Jughead.
No, I know the fucking answer.
Young Gerald Ford.
I'm sticking with JFK.
You know, young Gerald Ford looks pretty fucking good.
It's like I'm trying to figure out how to use
old Gerald Ford doesn't look good, but we're not talking about that. Yeah, look at this here. Perfect.
By the way, it wasn't just JFK fucking Marilyn Monroe. His brother was fucking her too. Everybody was getting some of that.
Yeah, I don't know what this article's about, but there's a little picture in there of him, number 48. Yeah, you can see it. That's Gerald Ford as
very handsome man.
Yeah, see, I'm surprised I thought of him, but if I just thought of him, there have to be other ones. So
I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong. Wow, he looks like a fucking.
He's a solid pick.
I'm shocked that they like.
That's FDR, bitch. That's fucking Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
FDR looks like the poster child for like white supremacy.
Dude, he looks like he'd be in an Acne commercial or something about like white strips.
Yeah.
He looks like a modernly good-looking guy. He doesn't look antiquated hot. He looks like a dude who would be walking a bimbo down Melrose
The
Boulevard.
hair
in
is
LA.
so good.
I know.
You know
He
what?
is
The hair.
clearly better than JFK.
Yeah. I think you definitely won this. He looks tremendous.
I'm going to agree with you, and it's because I think JFK had those acne scars. You remember? You ever see that? You ever notice he's got a little pockmark thing going on? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, this was my contest, so it was a little loaded. But yeah, that's little known fact. FDR was a fucking 10 out of 10 while he was at Harvard.
I think everybody there was handsome. I want to see the rest of these men. That black dude next to him, very handsome man. Although, hey, take a look at this. We were talking about FDR's hair. Look at the guy who is bottom center. All you can see is the top of his head.
Oof, that must be a coach.
That's got to be a coach or something, right?
That's got to be a coach for sure.
They'd be chanting stuff about him at the stadium nowadays.
I Googled this topic and they said that guy is the hottest, Franklin Pierce.
That's what it says number one here. It's on hottestheadsofstate.com/
Based on a painting? Based on a goddamn painting that he commissioned? And that's as good as it looks. I have this theory about people's profile pictures on dating websites. Like sometimes you'll see a picture and you'll be like, that's kind of borderline. She's cute, but you got to stop and be like, wait. This is the best picture she could muster with all of the free time in the world to take pictures of herself. This is the best image of herself she could muster. The real her is an abomination if she's borderline in these pictures.